Even though I had researched and envisioned what van life with 3 dogs would be like, there were still some unexpected things. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to my 4 years of van life series. The 1st of March marked our 4-year anniversary, and I thought there were some things that we could talk about. The topic of today's video is 7 things I did not expect going into van life. Let's get into this. Healthcare is location-based. I live in the Netherlands, and every time I am in the Netherlands, there are certain health things that I needed to get done. In my previous 4 years van life series video, I talked about how van life revealed to me that I am ADHD, so ADHD and autistic. And with that, getting all the diagnosis and everything, came a lot of appointments that I had to make, medications that I had to try, people, just a lot of healthcare stuff around it that I needed to get done, which was all location based. Because I am registered as a person somewhere in the Netherlands, that's also where they think I live, that I'm always there, which I'm not. But my doctor's there, my dentist is there, the therapists are there. So, I needed to go to the doctor to have a referral to a specialist. The specialist was also in that area. And since I've been living in other parts of the Netherlands or even abroad, when I've been abroad, I haven't been getting my diagnosis done or anything. But when I've been living in the Netherlands, but not in that particular area, it started to get kind of annoying that I needed to get back to that area every time. So I would just ask, like, can I go there for this diagnosis? Or can I go there for this treatment? Or can I go there? But I had to go back to that same area the entire time, even though you can get this done anywhere in the Netherlands. Now, I understand the Netherlands isn't that big, and sometimes maybe if you're in America and you live here and you need to go all the way to the other state for something, I don't know. But for the Netherlands, everything is so close by. Everything is in the area. So it's just really hard. The system is not made in a way that sustains this lifestyle. So it's made in a way that you live here. So everything, your little bubble is over there. So if you need any healthcare, you do it over there. I do believe that if I would call another dentist around here, that I would probably get treated. But for me, every time I call the doctor and I want to have something done or need to have something fixed, it's a whole conversation, and I need to explain why I'm there. And yeah, also my doctor is not close by, so I don't even know what would happen if I would get sick or ill and I need to visit a doctor. I think I will just visit a doctor somewhere over here. But yeah, it's just everything is set up in a way that you live in a bubble and everything is there. And as soon as you want to go out of that bubble, it gets it's a hassle. It's longer phone conversations. And to me, it's kind of obvious. I just tell them I want it this way and I want it that way. Can we get it done? And it's a whole thing. But yeah, that's one of the things that I never thought beforehand. Also, I didn't know I was neurospicy. So I didn't know I was going to have so many appointments that I need to get done. So yeah, that was a little bit of a mind shift for me, that I needed to go back to that area every time to get everything sorted. Now, luckily, everything is now sorted, so it's no longer that big of a hassle. But that was a whole thing for me that just annoyed me, that I need to go back to that area to get these things done. Pharmacies and logistics, same thing. My doctor is in South Holland in the Netherlands, and I'm not. So whenever I need medication, and especially when I was getting my ADHD medication done, I was even in a different area in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, I was near Utrecht. I needed to have when I started my ADHD medication, you test a certain type of medication. So you get 20 pills at once or 15 pills at once. There was a specialist that would prescribe these medications to me. And every time I could only pick up like 10 pills or 20 pills or a certain amount of pills of these pills. And I had to go get them at a pharmacy. But there was also always a whole hassle, because I would have to find out, I would already have found out, like, I need this pharmacy, I wanted to go over there. But then these systems, I don't know if they Yeah, they do interact. So they do know which medication. They do know which medication you're also taking, but because it's about medication and it's about ADHD medication, which is a opioid, and it's just the whole thing. And it was so much harder than having it shipped to my normal pharmacy where I used to live. And the same was with, if I didn't mention it or if I didn't specifically say it, they wouldn't do it correctly. So after a while, we were testing specific brands of medication because they can also work differently. So then I had my medication, my milligrams, and my brand, and then my in the Netherlands we have health insurance, but I don't know what happened, but something is off about it. I don't know. So something changed in the Netherlands with health insurance years ago, but I don't know what it was beforehand. But somehow everything has gotten super difficult. So now the health insurance wants you to take a specific brand. So as soon as you don't want that brand, you want another brand, the pharmacy that you go to pays for the little part that you're not paying for. And not all pharmacies want to do that. So now I had to go to pharmacies, ask for a specific brand. They had to order it in. So sometimes I would go there, they would have the wrong brand. I would have to order the other brand. And then I would go back and I would like to get it and buy it. So I would pay a certain amount, but also the pharmacy would pay a certain amount. So they were not very keen on getting you that brand of medication. So if you're dealing with different pharmacies all the time, that becomes a whole hassle. I do not recommend. But I never thought about that beforehand because I had medication. I have asthma medication and antihistamine. But these ADHD medications is a whole thing, and getting it from the pharmacies and then getting the right brand and the right, that's a whole thing. Yeah, so I did not know beforehand that I was going to need this medication. I also did not know when we started this medication that there's a whole thing about the medication. And sometimes they cannot even get it. It's just living in a van and not having one set pharmacy that you go to all the time where they just know. Even if you call them and you tell them exactly, I want this brand, I want this many, I want this milligrams, I want, I don't know. Still, things it just goes wrong. I don't know why, I don't know how. It's just so many people are involved that human error, I guess. And that is a whole hassle. Nothing gets like routined because they don't write things down on a computer, because then you go to a different pharmacy because you're in a different part of the Netherlands. Yeah, that's a whole hassle. And I never thought about that beforehand, that all these things need to work together and it doesn't get a routine, so then it stays difficult. Every time I call them, it's a whole new hassle to get through it. Finding a vet for your animals. I am like a helicopter dog mom. I also do a lot of holistic care for my dogs. In some instances, you just need a vet. You need to go to a vet and have things checked out. And because I'm such a helicopter dog mom, that was quite a thing for me. I now have a vet in Utrecht in the Netherlands, which to me I love because it's kind of central in the Netherlands. And I would absolutely, if we would have to have surgery that we can just schedule, so nothing emergency, I would absolutely go there again. It's pretty central in the Netherlands, so it's like an hour away from here. And I really like those. I trust them and I think they do a good job. But here I now have a new vet, and my first interaction with her was okay. So I'm happy. I'm happy that I got to go there. Was with Bobby's foot. Bobby had something wrong with his foot, and we need to go to the vet. And I really like them. But that's the thing. Even I went to a vet in Spain, I think. Yeah, I have to go to different vets, and then also when you're traveling, there's different. In different countries, there's different rules, there's different things. I'm only satisfied when there's a certain type of care for my dogs, and I really want to have that care. So if we're just talking about the Netherlands, I'm happy I found a vet here that I also kind of like. I haven't had that much interaction with them yet, but so far it's good. But having to switch vets all the time, having to see and find out if it's the right match, if it's gonna work out. Yeah, that's also a thing I don't really like. Now, if, like I said, if there's anything that isn't an emergency and I have time and energy, I will go to the vet in Utrecht because it's quite, that's okay. But this, I just needed to have his foot checked. And for my holistic vet, that's also in Utrecht. So from wherever I am in the Netherlands, I will always go back to the holistic vet to have them checked out if there's anything wrong. Having paperwork with you when traveling with the van. When I started living in the van, I knew I needed to have my passport, I needed to have the dog's passport, they need to be vaccinated for the most countries that we're going to, and I need to have registration and insurance and everything on the van. But rules change, I changed, or my medication changed, and then there's way more paperwork because the first thing, now that I'm ADHD diagnosed, I get medication, like I just said, it's an opioid, and in Europe there is an opium law, which requires you to have a shit ton of paperwork, and it's also a little bit, it's not expensive, but it's just a whole hassle. You have to pay for it to get it all sorted and get it all okay. And even if you have all your paperwork correct and you travel with this medication and you have like a letter from your doctor and you have it's prescribed, you have the original box, you have the original medication and everything, they could still take you if you would be pulled over and they suspect that you are on some sort of drugs. They can take you and do a blood test on you, which I wouldn't like, to see if the medication that's in your blood is actually the medication that you're showing them, that you didn't accidentally, or I don't know how, did any other party drug. So yeah, I don't want that. So I carry all of these things with me, a whole batch of paperwork to show any customs or any police if they ask me about medication. So that's one. I need to have a lot of paperwork for my medication. Then I have my dogs. Now they need to have their passports. They need to have their, be vaccinated, but also the rules are changing. So now if you go to Spain, I believe this is happening. I believe this is happening like the 1st of April or something. I'm not planning on going there anytime soon, but it's a thing that I need to keep in mind. Normally, I believe you could just drive through Spain, through France, into Portugal, and all you needed to do is have the registration. You know, you needed to show that they're your dogs, that they're microchipped, they have a passport, that they're vaccinated. But now I believe you also have to register online that they are entering the country, saying how long you're going to be there. I never know how long I'm going to be there. And yeah, there's like paper, you have to register that they're going in there. I think that's a new rule. I looked at it and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, more paperwork. And I just put it to the side because I'm not planning on going there soon. But it's another thing you need to look into and get used to. And I don't know if it's just for Spain or if it's all maybe it's not even just for Spain. Maybe it's for more in Europe, more places in Europe. But I don't know when I'm going traveling again, and I think if I go traveling again, I'm going to Sweden, and I know that if I go to Sweden, I need to register them anyway. So yeah, I'll be doing that. But rules change. You need to keep on top of things. You need to have everything sorted. Everything. Traveling with the dogs requires a lot of research and requires a lot of paperwork in advance and getting things sorted so that you obey to the rules that they have. Because if you don't, if they pull you aside and they check your van and the dogs and they see that something is off with the dogs, they can actually, confiscate them, put them in quarantine, and in worst case, euthanize them. So yeah, I don't even want to think about that. But yeah, there's a whole lot of paperwork, and it's getting more and more and more as the rules are getting tighter and tighter. Also, a thing that you need to do is if you travel through or to certain countries, you need to have certain stickers. In Europe, there's lots of rules, there's lots of roads. Sometimes you need to have like a toll road thing, like a sticker or a paperwork, or you need to have, I have a toll badge for some countries. And so I have a French sticker, and then you need, what do you need? I think that if you go to Switzerland or Austria, you also need like toll things for the road. Sometimes you need to register toll roads for your van. Sometimes you need, well, you don't need to register toll roads, not always. Sometimes you can just have it, pay it at the toll booth or pay it afterwards, but it's usually more expensive. But those are all sorts of things that you just need to keep on top of, and It's lots of paperwork. Just, it's not like, oh, I'll think I'll go to Sweden today and I'll just travel. No, before I go to Sweden, like a month in advance, I need to start getting all the paperwork together and make sure that everything's okay so that we're good to go when we're ready to go.
Finding work is harder when you're not from there.
Another thing that I didn't really expect is when I started living in van life, I thought, oh, I'll have my van with me. So I live in my van, so I'll just go places and I can work there. That is sort of the case, but and there's also like seasonal work that don't pay too much that you can go to. But if you really want to work, like I'm self-employed, I have a business and I can rent myself out to do certain jobs, and then I get paid for that like a normal business in the Netherlands. Because you don't have because you're not registered here with your address, people don't really trust it. It's more like jobs that are available or for local people or for, because sometimes it's also that you're a little bit, the culture from where you're from is a little bit different than the culture that you're currently in, even if it's just in the Netherlands, and that they just won't give you the job. Now, of course, I've had lots of jobs, but I have noticed that if I would live in a house and just stay in that house and be put in that house, that it's easier for people to hire you. Or in my case, I don't get hired. I get the job. I get to do that job. And yeah, I've noticed that people don't always trust it, or they, it's a little bit, it's like they think it's a little bit sketchy that you don't live in a house like any other people. So where I thought it would give me more freedom to work wherever I wanted, it turns out that society is just not built for, it's just not used to people like this. So yeah, they don't always, they're not always interested in what I have to offer. How people view van life and how they view you. I knew getting into van life, I knew that people get super enthusiastic about it and they think it's so cool that you're doing something different. So that's like people that are close to me. But if you've never done it, if you've never lived in a van for so long and not have your own space, people don't really understand. And what so many people have said to me, which I always think is such a weird thing to say, they would always say, oh, you live in a van, that's so cool. I've seen van life online, that's so cool. I could never do it though. And I'm like, I'm not asking you if you want to join me on my trip. I'm not asking you if you want to uproot your entire life and do it. You're asking me where I'm living, what I'm doing. I'm not asking you if you want to do this. And like, I think out of all of the people that I've met that I've told that I do van life, I think 70% of those say is a response, that's cool, or they ask a question or whatever, and then they say, oh yeah, I could never do that. But it's so weird to me because if maybe that's true in the Netherlands. Maybe if somebody says, oh, I live in a farmhouse out in the rural area, maybe people always say, oh, I would never do that, I would want to be in a city. Maybe that's how people respond. But I always thought it was so weird because I'm not asking you to go live in a van. I'm not telling you to go live in a van. You're asking me what I'm doing or why I live in a van. And then that's your response. I always think that's such a weird response to have. But people have a certain idea of what type of person you are. People, they put you in like, how do you say that? A corner, a cubicle. They label you as a certain type of person. And I've met lots of van lifers, and no, not any, how do you say that? Not any of those are the same. They're all totally different. And there's also certain types of vans. If you can look at just all the vans that are out there, people living van life, certain types of vans, there's a whole bunch of different people in different van styles and different van lives. And it's a whole rainbow of people inside of the van life community. So yeah, people, when I used to live in a house and I just used to have my business and I was in a steady place, people viewed me way differently than they do now. Not necessarily worse or anything, just different. It does create interesting conversations. Usually they ask the same things. What do you do for a living? Don't you get scared or stuff like that? But yeah, people just mostly they also kind of admire it. They're like, oh wow, it's like it gives them a glimpse. It's like it opens them, it opens a part in their thinking about, oh wait, what if I could be that free? They like project that you are free, and then they think, oh, what if I could do all of that? And then they sometimes you see them hope like, oh, maybe I would do this, or I would do that, or I would go there, or I would do this. And I think that's really cool to have like a real conversation with people about that. But yeah, people view me different, and that's okay. But I didn't really realize that, because I also thought I would just be the exact same person, just living in the van. But it does so many things to you that you're no longer the same person. Yeah, so yeah, people, and some people don't like it. Some people think it's weird. Some people think, yes, people have an opinion about it. Also, people always like to give me their opinion. I'm not asking for it. I'm not asking, oh, hey, I live in a van. What's your opinion about that? I don't say that. They're just like, hey, who are you? What do you do here? And I'm like, I live in a van. You live in a van? And then immediately all these questions arise. And then they give me their opinion about it. I never asked for, but I guess it's important to people to tell me their opinions about my lifestyle. And then the last one, mental shift of living differently than anyone else. When you live different than anyone else, so when you don't have a certain space in the world and you live as free as you could label this, you view things different. You don't really attach to places that much. I always feel like I have the freedom to leave a place, so I'm here voluntarily. I never feel like, oh my God, I bought this house, I have this mortgage, and I need to pay for it, and I want to go somewhere and I cannot leave. I can just grab my stuff and leave. So that freedom that it gives you is like, feels like, I don't know how to say this, like a load falling off of you, like a responsibility falling off of you or something. I don't even know how to say this. But yeah, I do feel free. In essence, I feel like a bird that's no longer caged, maybe something like that. So I do feel free, but I also realize that I am far from how society is normally working or how everybody else is functioning. I'm very far off that normal thing I'm far off the status quo, and I notice that every day, and I'm aware of it every day. Also, having this freedom sometimes makes me look at other situations with a different eye, and think I look at certain situations with a more sense of freedom. Sometimes people come to me with that they feel stuck, or that they have a job that they don't like, or there's something going on that they don't like, and they don't feel the freedom to choose for themselves and get out of that situation, or change it, or do anything about it. Or even if you don't want to get out of the situation, change your mindset about it. People just sometimes feel so stuck, and I view the world different now. So because I can physically, literally grab all my things and move it somewhere else, that creates so much more freedom and space to roam and explore. And so when people tell me these things, I look at it from a whole different view. And I sometimes try and be like, oh, but you could do that. But they usually don't want to hear it, or they can't really see it because they look at it from a different way than I do. So yeah, that does, it really does make you look different at things. And because I am so much outdoors in the winter. I was indoors a lot in my van, but normally the door, if the sun is out, the door's open, you're outside, you're feeling the wind, you're seeing the sunlight, it's like outside is a part of being inside. Also, my kitchen has lots of branches and stuff. My van has a whole natural feel to it, and I live way more outside, and I'm more with my hands in the soil, sort of. I'm gardening here, and I'm experiencing the seasons more vivid, and I'm feeling the cold, and I'm feeling the heat, and I'm, you're like more in tune with nature or something. So yeah, these things just make you view things differently. Some people, I've actually heard people say this, that if they have a day off, they don't go outside at all. And these people exist. And maybe if you're watching this, maybe you are one of these people. There's not a day in my life doing van life that I don't go outside, because well, I have dogs, so I have to walk the dogs. But also, if I want to get to the front of the van, I can go through a hole there, but I usually go around. So if I need to move the van somewhere, I go around. And I go outside. I'm always outside. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not outside. And yeah, I think that also changes you as a person, that you're more in touch with nature, you're more in touch with the seasons, you're more in touch with your surroundings. Yeah, I think that really shapes you as a person. And yeah, and also having if I travel, every day is different. If I travel, I feel like in 3 months' time, if I travel certain places, I feel like I've grown so much, I've evolved so much from the version that left 3 months ago, that it's a growth, like a personal growth or a personal getting to know yourself better, that could only normally happen within like 5 years, because everything every day is different and everything changes, and you're on your own, and you need to handle situations, you need to do things. And I feel like that's like how do you say that, sculpt you as a person. Is that the right word I want to say? Yeah, it does so many things to you, because it's just I don't really know how to put this, but it just changes you as a person. And I feel like it expands your personal growth a lot, and it makes you so much more in touch with who you truly are and what you truly want in life, and you get to know so many more things about yourself, which is also one of the reasons why I realized I was neurodivergent doing van life. I made a video about that, the video before here, if you're interested in seeing that. Doing van life, living in a van, not only has people look differently at me, it has me looking differently at the world and at the society that I'm supposedly now standing next to, which I don't think I am. But yeah, it creates you, it shapes you as a person, and it shapes the way that you view other things in the world. And I cannot wait for more of Avengers, and I cannot wait for other things to happen in my life, and to have my own homestead somewhere, which I would also be happy if that would be off-grid, or somewhere more rural, somewhere more remote. And yeah, I cannot wait to see if I would ever like stop sleeping in the van full time, because I do van life full time. I don't travel full time. So if I would just have like a little house or something to stay at, if that's going to, how that's going to feel, and how it's going to shape me as a person, if it's going to make me feel more stuck, or if I'm going to realize after a year like, oh yeah, I missed this, or yeah, really excited to see what that will bring me. But yeah, those were my 7 things about van life that I didn't really expect beforehand, and I think are really worth mentioning. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please let me know. If you would like to support my channel and my future van ventures, you are welcome to do so through my channel membership. And I will see you in the next one. And in the meantime, don't forget to say yes to new van ventures.